Hi, this is Carol Watson, and I am the Chief Thriver at Thrive.com. Welcome to another episode of Thrive Talk. For those of you that have not been to a Thrive Talk previously, it's just a 20-minute chat with a thought leader that has a very interesting story and some secrets to share. So welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us. And we appreciate our sponsors, Microsoft, for allowing this series to continue. So joining us today is Deborah Mitchell of Deborah Mitchell Media Associates, and she is an Emmy-nominated TV producer of some of the biggest shows in the industry, and she now has her own firm of Debbie Mitchell Media Associates. Welcome, Debbie.
Nice to see you, Carol. Thanks for having me on.
Great. So to get us started, tell us about your current role and what exactly are you doing now?
Okay, so my company is Deborah Mitchell Media Associates. I founded it about 3 years ago, and after spending 25 years in the television industry as a producer, I found myself looking for the next thing. I was at CBS News, new management came in, I was out, and I really took the time while I was unemployed to really look at how the industry was changing, and decided that it was time to actually put out my shingles and open up my company. So I chose to go into the digital space, learn a little bit more about social media, and see how I could use my skills as a television producer to actually branch out into the field of social media. And it's been great. It's been a real experience. So obviously, you know, social media is the way to communicate now. Everybody has to have a little bit of social media in their life. So I got into it at just the right time, and I've been able to work at it right now. As far as the company, what we do is we work with brands in helping them to establish their online personality. And once the personality is established, we work with them in sharing their brand's message through traditional and social media spaces.
So tell us about the skills and things that you did as a TV producer that transitioned quite easily and naturally, and what was the big challenge that you had to ramp up on?
Well, the biggest challenge that I had to ramp up on was that I knew nothing about social media when I left television 25 years ago. Once I stopped working in TV, I found that all the jobs and all the positions that I was looking for, they were asking for anyone applying to have digital experience, social media experience. So I reconnected with a friend of mine, and she explained to me what Twitter was, what Facebook was, what Instagram at the time was really new. So, but basically the social media space and how to use it correctly as far as getting your information across, as far as storytelling, because as a producer, that's pretty much what I am, a storyteller. And these were different tools that I needed to learn how to use in order to tell the story.
So many people want to figure out how to make that transition, and you made it sound really easy and very organic. Were there any tools, resources, or processes that you found particularly helpful in ramping up? Because now you're a subject matter expert and doing amazing things. So I'm sure it was a little bit more challenging and scarier than you made it out to be. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. No, it was definitely more challenging. I'd spent 25 years telling stories of people reinventing themselves and becoming entrepreneurs, and there is really nothing quite like living through it. So I was actually learning a new skill, and so what I had to do was really step back, put my ego to the side, and realize that I was learning something new. So I reconnected, like I said, with a friend of mine who actually became a mentor. So I think it's important to look for a mentor, especially if you're trying to get into a new field. I actually got a tutor to teach me how to use social media. I took seminars, and I would say it was about a 1.5 years full-time process for me to actually understand what and how my skills as a television producer could translate over into this new medium. So it was a while, and a lot of the time I was feeling around in the dark because I wasn't really quite sure how I was going to use these new skills. And coming from an industry where I was secure and I made money and I knew exactly how things flowed, it was very, very challenging to take this on.
Give us a greater sense of what the scope of your current business. What are some of the clients that you have, and give us some examples of the things that you do for them.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you what some of the services are that we offer. I'm still a television producer, so I'm always looking for TV projects to work on. Right now I'm working with a startup network called Arise TV, and I'm the executive producer of a movie review show in which the show, we actually use social media as a part of the show. So I've been able to use my old skills with my new tools in this particular project. In addition to still being a producer, I offer TV placement to individuals. People want to know how to get on television, and as a producer, I actually know the way to craft a pitch to get on the different television shows that are out there. So I work with clients on helping them get their message out there through traditional media. If you need a website built, because everyone's personality begins with their online personality, I work with you in getting a new website built or looking at your old website and determining ways in which it can be modernized and become more effective. And social media management. Managing social media takes a lot of time, and a lot of companies still don't understand how to use social media. So I'll sit down and work with them and figure out the way for them to best manage their social media, their individual social media.
I think that will never be must need in the. So you have a new book out called Secrets to Getting on TV, to Get on TV. Tell us about what inspired that and on what's in there. What can we expect in that book?
So in the book, I do share secrets of how to get on television. The book's called So You Want to Be on TV. And how I came up with that title is that when people find out that I'm a television producer, one of the top 3 questions they ask is, so how do I get on television? I have an idea. When Oprah was on, everyone wanted to be on Oprah. Now they want to be on the Today Show. They want to be on one of the major shows. And I'll take the time to actually explain to them what it takes to pitch an idea, what a producer is actually looking for, how to get on a producer's radar so that they actually come after you when they're looking for an expert or a personality to speak about a particular topic. So that's why I call the book So You Want to Be on TV. And I outline different bits of information, the ways to master an interview in 3 to 4 minutes, the proper way to dress for a show, how to prepare for an interview. So all those little things that actually add up to make your television appearance a successful one.
What would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about getting on TV?
Oh, I've said this a couple of times. I think that the biggest misconception they have is that it's easy to get on television. It's like, because you do see a lot of different people on the screen, and you think, okay, I can do that too. But it's not easy to get on, and once you get on, it's really not that easy to make a great impression. You don't have a lot of time. Television moves very quickly, and your goal is to get your information out in a very short amount of time and be very succinct and give valuable information, news that people can use, and in a way that is friendly, informative, and entertaining. So it's a little challenging, but with a little work, everybody can do it.
So there are hundreds and hundreds of TV media outlets now. Mm-hmm. What do you suggest that people think about when they're approaching their plan and their strategy? How do you think about going after a producer and pitching your story?
The first thing you should think about is, who are you trying to get this message out? What is your product? What is your service? Who is the audience for this? And once you determine that, you can think about what television shows actually cater to that particular audience. A daytime audience for a show that airs between 7 and 10 in the morning is very different from the audience who's watching a show in the evening. A news show is very different from watching Ellen's daytime show. So it's a good idea to have a sense of who your audience is, and how you figure that out is actually watch the shows. You really should know the show that you're approaching the producer to with your idea. So it's important to do a little homework and just take some time to watch the different shows that are on.
So you sit in a interesting combination of places. So you've been a TV producer, and now you're helping brands and people create those roles. Give us a sense of what a TV producer's mind is how are they thinking about who they're selecting, and what is their process? What's going through their mind when they're trying to decide between person A and B?
Oh, that's such a great question. You know, as a television producer, you're pretty much a storyteller. So you are trying to figure out the best way to tell a story, and with the right people or elements as a part of the story. So you're looking at the big picture, figuring out what is the message that you want to relay to the audience, and what particular visual elements, video-wise, props as far as books or guest personality that will help to convey the story. So it's a lot of balls that you're juggling, but it's a really interesting and challenging yet fulfilling way to actually make a living. It's a lot of fun. You're a storyteller.
So when people are thinking about crafting their own story, how do you advise them in terms of packaging themselves? How should you package yourself up so that you are the most desirable to a TV producer?
Well, getting on and in doing that, in packaging yourself, you're really trying to get on a producer's radar. So you have to determine what you are an expert in. What is the field? And all of us are experts in some way or another. Just figure out what you're going to be an expert in. And once you figure that out and you're confident in that particular place, you have to figure out how to spread your message, how to spread your brand. And that it's a combination of things. It's being in print, so if you can have a blog, get an interview or a quote in an interview so that you appear in print, because producers get their ideas for guests from various places. They read, they Google, and your goal is to actually get your name in a Google search. So try and get as much publicity as possible, and if it's not on mainstream TV right away, it's in smaller ways. So I'm really a big advocate of brands having blogs, because you write constantly, you create content constantly, you are eventually going to come up in a Google search. So if I, as a producer, am Googling, I'm looking for someone who's an expert in, say, branding, your name will eventually come up in the search. So you do have to create the footprints, I should say, in order for producers to find you. And once they figure out they want to use you, they want to see what you're like on camera. So I really think everyone should have a YouTube channel so that they can actually see you on camera. And that it's a preliminary step as far as taking you to the next level of putting you on a bigger screen. But create a YouTube channel. So if you are attending a speech, if you're giving a speech, if you're a moderator of a speech, have someone videotape it. And then once it's videotaped, load it up to your YouTube channel. So that way the producer can actually see you and see you in action on air.
That's a great suggestion. And for all of our Thrive guests, they will be featured on our YouTube Thrive Talk channel. So please subscribe to our channel and share and take a look at all of our guests, and make sure you give them a thumbs up so that they can get on TV, which would be awesome.
It would be great. And tell a producer calls you, send them the link to your Thrive interview, and they can actually see you in action. That's perfect.
Yep. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing that producers are on the hunt for? Where's the demand in terms of talks? I know it depends on the show and the focus, but any patterns that you're seeing?
You know, it's interesting. It does depend on the show. And for morning television, I do see that bloggers are a lot more in demand. They're using bloggers as experts. Even on the news shows, I've seen bloggers come on as experts. So that's really an interesting place, because years ago that wouldn't have been the case. But social media in general, I have to go back to it, because I'm watching how the shows are now actually encouraging viewers to tweet to them. They're encouraging people to post on their Facebook pages. So social media is a lot more important now than I could have ever imagined. So if there's anyone who thinks they don't need social media, or they don't want to get on board, they're making a mistake. They really should actually expand their brand to include social media and incorporate it in their marketing.
Now that sounds like it makes a lot of sense, as well as we need more experts like you showing us the way, for sure. So I know you're involved in the midst of all the buckets of things that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about some of the other projects that you're working on and where else we can find you.
Okay, so I was telling you earlier that I'm in the process. I do work quite a bit with bloggers. So I'm working with a blogger conference that's happening this summer, and we're going to have a great array of bloggers, including mom bloggers, food bloggers, lifestyle bloggers, and we're looking for brands who'd be interested in getting in front of this audience. And they're a great audience because they're bringing their authentic voice to the conversation. So they'll be tweeting about your product, posting on Facebook, writing blog posts. And actually, we've invited traditional media to the event, too. It's a 2-day event in July. So we are excited because that's another opportunity for brands to get some exposure. So that's one of the things I'm reaching out to, brands who are interested in sponsorship packages for that. Of course, I have the book, So You Want to Be on TV, and I'll be speaking at a couple of events about that. And the show that I'm working on, Arise, on screen. So those are a few of the things that I have on my plate right now. And I was saying before, it's a lot of balls to juggle, but we're getting it done, so that's a good thing.
And I know we can find you on your regular postings on entrepreneur.com. So
yes, I write weekly for entrepreneur.com. And if anyone wants to find me, they can follow me on Social TV Deb. That's my Twitter handle. And the company is Deborah Mitchell Media Associates.
So before we go, we always ask our guests what they need to thrive. And I know you have, as the woman of secrets to success, tons of apps and content that you can't live without. Can you tell us what you can't get through the day without checking out?
Oh my goodness. Well, being in news, we're becoming from news, I should say, I'm always interested in what's going on. So I turn to muckrack.com, and that's a site where journalists compile all their stories of the day. So that's a great place to go. Then there's Mashable for social media. And then, of course, I need my little entertainment. So I'm always looking at
your guilty pleasure?
Exactly, my guilty pleasure. So I have a couple of sites, Madame Noir. Because I work in, my show is film, I look at The Wrap, which gives me information about TV in general and the movie industry. EPK TV with all the movies that are coming out. So I'm always looking at those things. And for health reasons, I love my yoga sites. So Yoga Journal is a good site also. And those are some of the main ones that I go to first thing in the morning.
That's awesome. Thank you, Deborah. Any final parting words for the Thrive community?
You know what? What I can say is that there are days when it's really hard and you're grinding away and you wonder what you're doing and why you're doing it. But I just say stay focused, really stay focused and continue, because you're planting the seeds, you're doing the work, and something has to come of it. So I would just say stick with it, even when it feels impossible and hard. Just continue to stay on course and you will thrive.
Oh, I love it. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us. Deborah's will be able to respond to any specific questions that you have over the next week on the Thrive Post website. So please join us there, and see you next week, next Friday, for another edition of Thrive Talk. Enjoy your day and continue to thrive.